It's a good thing I have the sleepy thing. What are we watching? A Tale of Two Sisters.
I'm Amanda.
Hi, I'm Jordana.
Hi, I'm Ashley.
Hi, I'm Neil, and we watched A Tale of Two Sisters.
First 45 minutes, and when I saw the creepy twitched lady, I got so scared. I was like, time to stop. I was like, okay, that scared me. And then I continued it today, and I was like, this isn't scary, this is just confusing me.
That lady, that was the mother with her neck broken from hanging herself. I read that online. I'm not that smart, but
Because the
Oh,
father was having an affair with Unju because at that time the mother was terminally ill and that was the in-home nurse. And so the sisters and the mother found out that they were having an affair, which is why she killed herself in Soon's closet. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Y'all got me good with that one.
This movie was very full of twists.
And
I
was so frustrated because there was a point, I don't remember what the point was, but there was one point where I specifically remembered thinking, I wonder if the little sister isn't real. Like I had the thought, and then I was like, no, that can't possibly be true because she talks to the stepmom at one point.
thought that about the stepmom. I thought the stepmom
Really?
was fake or just imaginary or just she, you know what I mean? Like something was off.
Everyone was fake after I found out the sister was fake. I was like, everyone's fake to me. They're all lies.
really,
I think
to me, I figured out that the sister was fake when she was sitting outside, and the dad came out, and he was like, "Why are you out here? It's cold." And he's not. He's only talking to the one sister, and I was like, "Why isn't he talking to the other one? There's definitely something up here." I'm like, the other one has to be in her mind. And
Yeah.
then she went out like walking alone. I'm like, "Where's the other one?" She's
And
still sitting over there. Nobody acknowledges her existence except for the mother somehow. But I was like, there's something fishy here. I knew that she was in her mind at
yeah.
that point.
And in that shot, when Sumi is talking to their dad, it's just the two of them in frame. And the shot ends like right next to her so that Sooyeon isn't in the shot. And so I was like, that's a little fishy.
yeah, there were definitely certain moments in the film where I don't necessarily think, I mean, I know now, but I think in the moment I didn't really understand what was going on. But I think for me, what really stood out was how detached the father was from everything and everyone. Even Unju, when there's this one scene where he hears screaming and it's Sumi and Unju at the table and it's in the beginning half of the movie and he's shaving and he hears screaming and he slowly turns the faucet off. And I feel in real life, if you hear someone screaming, you immediately turn it off and you go and see what's happening, especially if your daughter and your partner, I guess, are in the house. So I think now looking back, that was actually a really big clue because he was listening in on what she was saying and talking to herself. So I was thinking about what would happen if I watched this movie again. Kind of like when I watched Get Out for a second time. Everything is intertwined and it's really crazy.
Mm-hmm. I definitely wanted to watch the movie again, but I was like, there's no time. But if you listen during that faucet scene, all you hear is one voice talking. You don't hear two voices. You only hear one. And I was paying attention. I replayed it a few times. I was like, how comes I don't hear the mother talking? And then in my head, I was like, maybe he's in the mentality that oh, this isn't my problem. They're ladies, they'll figure it out themselves. And then after I found out that it's really just the daughter being with him, in that house.
I didn't expect her to have dissociative identity disorder. I thought she was just had, I don't want to say PTSD, but I thought she had a different recollection of how her sister died. I thought that's what this movie was about.
Well,
Can we talk about how her sister died though?
Well, Unju basically, because she was about to save her, and then that's why she told Sumi you're gonna regret this moment.
No, but she literally saw her there scratching for help. and then turned around. She didn't say, somebody help me or something.
He's evil.
It's because Sumi said something like once she saw Sumi and like Sumi approached her with like complete hostility and was basically like, F you. Like
No, but that was after she left the room because she saw
But I think that's why she left her afterwards.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what I mean.
I'm just wondering why she left her in the beginning.
Yeah,
Like I would have helped in the beginning.
Maybe she wanted the dad all to herself.
I was gonna say maybe this was like this plot and this like plan. Because like obviously the mother was terminally ill. So it was very much like the not traditional, stereotypical like evil stepmother wanting to get money wasn't really a big part of this, but I guess the house was. So like getting the house and getting the dad, but very dark.
Now that I know that about the movie, honestly, it changes my complete perspective of everything. I need to watch it again.
How so?
It's because like I was so lost and confused on why there was so much hate for the stepmother. I was like, why are they all just so negative towards her? But I was also like, why is the younger sister barely talking throughout this entire movie? She had like 3 total lines, and I was like, something's off with her. But now that I know this, like information about like the mom and why she killed herself and all of that, I'm like, okay, so things are piecing together. I finally figured out what the movie means.
It broke my heart seeing how much Sumi like loved Soon, like how protective she was over her, like the entire movie. I don't know. That was honestly what like hit me in the heart, where I was like, she was literally all she had, and she thought she had her this entire time, but she doesn't.
And she was making up all of these scenes that she could protect her in. She's imagining all of these terrible things happening to her so she can protect her from them, because the one time something actually terrible did happen to her, she couldn't be there to protect her. So
do we know if she knows that happened? Like, do we know that she knows that how her mother died and how her sister died, like clearly?
I'm pretty sure that you're able to like piece it together based upon times of death and like the scratches on the floor and stuff like that of like the cabinet, the wardrobe falling.
So you do think she knows like everything?
I think she knows that that's probably what happened.
That's crazy.
And I think that's why she ends up in the mental hospital in the first place, is because she has to witness that and know that happened and that she heard it and didn't do anything about it. And she just kind of breaks because she can't even handle thinking
I
about
would break too.
Yeah, when her sister got locked in the closet, her imaginary sister got locked in the closet, and she was saying like, I couldn't hear you, like, I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear you. It's the exact same thing. She couldn't hear her, yelling out for help because she was getting crushed. So I definitely think that's her trying to kind of come to terms with what happened. Yeah.
What do we think about like how the ghosts were real and how Unju died? Like that to me was like, holy shit. Like I really,
ghosts. Kind of good ghosts.
Yeah.
She got her comeuppance, so.
Sure.
Yeah, I got confused at first. The only thing that really convinced me that the ghosts were actually real was when the sister-in-law has the seizure. Because that's the only part that can't be explained away by it being all in Sumi's head. And that was also probably the strangest part of the whole movie, because it doesn't really get explained away afterwards. So you just have to accept that happened.
Also, when the stepmom goes back to the house and the ghost comes out at her and presumably kills her. I read online that she got killed, but they don't show you that in the movie. So.
Yeah, I thought she got killed by the ghost.
Yeah, and it couldn't have been her delusions because she was already institutionalized. So.
I had read one opinion though that whole thing that's just Sumi in the hospital again, imagining that's happening as like her imagining getting revenge one last time. But
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like that would be more for full circle than anything else that I would have assumed.
For me, I would have 100% thought like that the ghosts were like Sumi's representation of how she wants things going, and like a part of them could be her sister being like, "Hey, let's get you on like the right track," and like trying to like scare her into like snapping out of her delusions. That's what I thought it was at first, but I think it's just her trying to figure out her own problems and like get her revenge in her own way.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you guys ready for our next segment?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how about, should we put it on the spectrum?
Okay, let's go.
I would say this movie is probably definitely formalist.
I feel like it's a combination of formalist and realist.
Really? Okay, I got that too. And I was really happy that today in class when he said that there could be a mix, because when I was first watching it last night, I like looked up like, can films be both formalistic and realistic? And the only thing that came up was like realism in film. And I was like, okay, like I guess not. Because I think like anytime they were in the house, like certain routines were very much realist to me. But there were also a lot of things that weren't, and it was just very obvious that things were like very weird. Like one thing that stuck out to me in the beginning of the movie is when they're in the mental institution, and it's like this big room, and there's literally just 2 chairs and a table. And it's just so weird. Like you could tell that something's like, I don't want to say dark, but like off. But yeah, I agree. Definitely a good mixture.
I thought it was a mixture because it's more of like the ghosts and the edits that makes it formalist, while the interactions of people, that's more realist. That's something that you would see the conversations happening today. You could see stutters and stuff like that where they're like freaked out and not really sure what to say, put off guard by these things that other people were saying. So it felt like normal conversations. It didn't really feel like they were acting things out.
That dinner scene was so awkward.
Yeah, that one was awkward.
Yeah. So
One thing
there
I
was.
will say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that there was a shot of Sumi walking through the hallways, and she's in her nightgown, and it's this very dramatic, like follows her around, like it like rushes forward and then turns and then follows her again.
I
And
love that scene.
that was like a huge change in pace. So that was definitely like a formalist kind of thing.
I will say, like, one thing that was realist, I wouldn't go to the point where it was naturalist, but like being Korean and certain things that they said within certain moments, like what the dad was saying to Sumi when he was yelling at her, saying, like, tell me, like, what is wrong with you? Like, it very much reminded me of like one of my friend's parents growing up. And like, I feel like a lot of the way that they said stuff, not only like what they said, but the demeanor was like quite accurate.
I thought the acting in this movie was very well done.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it
think
did
the
feel
dad did a
natural.
really good job.
The dad did do a real job. Honestly, he hit that good vibe. Like, I've watched a few Korean movies in my days, and he hit the right vibe that all the others seem to be hitting. So it didn't feel like off or like strange compared to what I've seen.
At first I was like, do I like you? And then it got to the point where I just like wanted to cry for him, because like obviously his wife died. I mean, clearly he was
The problem.
committing adultery, but it was like he lost her, and then his daughter died, and now his only other daughter's like literally going insane in front of him. And for any parent to even have one kid, let alone gone, like to be going through pain like that, like I think he did a very good job at playing a neutral enough character to where he was very bland. But as the movie went on, I kind of realized, I was like, he actually plays a very crucial role in all of this, and it took me until then to realize it.
The part where he would sleep on the couch in the beginning, it makes so much sense now. Like, thinking about like, not the fact that it was his daughter making things up, but like if you think about it, he probably has so much regret for what happened, because he's gonna be like, I lost my daughter and my wife because I decided that I was gonna have an affair. So he probably has so much regret, and that's why he couldn't sleep in that bed in the like main like broad scheme of things, but it was really just he didn't want to sleep in the bed with his daughter.
I can't believe they picked. I mean, I guess they can because it's like a horror movie, but like that was a really bold move, putting her in the wardrobe in her daughter's room. Like for a mom to do that, like that's mental. That's crazy. And for you to know that your daughter's gonna find you,
Mm-hmm.
like
While your
that.
daughter was sleeping in there. Also, why wasn't she scared that her closet opened? She was, because like the way her sister depicted her in every other scene, she was terrified of everything. But when her closet slowly opened, she's like, "Ooh, what's that? Let me go and look." Every single scene in this movie where they were like looking at like under the sink and stuff like that, I was like, y'all are dumb. Okay, you're so dumb. Because even I know if I am looking under something, I am 3 feet away from it and then looking under. I am not getting all close up and personal and been doing my little peer where something can come and grab me and pull me under too.
Do you guys get scared of like having your feet hang off the bed?
Yes.
Okay.
See, I'm too long for these beds at Clark, so my feet always hang over the edge.
How tall are you?
I'm like 5'10", 5'11".
You're so lucky. Oh my god, that's my dream.
It's not all it's cracked up to be.
It's just I'm
I
like
just
the height where sometimes I can reach things and sometimes I can't. So
yeah.
So it's like very happy and like mystical. And I was like, I know that this movie is gonna get messed up. And so I'm already scared, and this music is making me feel good, but not it's instilling dread somehow, even though it's so happy, you know?
It had like you can go.
it seemed very like out of place to me. Like the one thing I think about is there's this one scene with Inju, and all I remember was what she was wearing. She was wearing like something really red, and she was like coming down the stairs or something like that, or she was coming from somewhere, and the music was like, I don't want to say upbeat, but like very hectic. But it didn't seem hectic as like a traditional horror film. Like it very much seemed as though it was for a situation that was like super high energy and like you were anticipating for something to happen, but you would never anticipate for like something horrible to happen, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think the sounds also acted as hints. Like I'm sure if I go back now and I watch it, I'm sure that they'll stick out a lot more. But there are certain elements of sound in the film to me where I feel like those moments were giving us clues. Like when she's shuffling through the papers in the beginning, like the shuffling is so loud to the point where you're like, you should kind of think like there's more to this than just the fact that she's realizing who this person is.
It's working with their Foley really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay,
what I'm talking about.
The sound that drove me nuts and must have been Foley and was so strange. Their feet make so much noise. I don't know if I'm crazy, but like every time they're walking, it's just so loud.
The slippers.
Yes, and then at the end when she's stepping in the blood and it's like squelching, and I just like why so much noise?
I know those slippers. I've worn those slippers before.
Oh girl, I have them.
They are not that thick that you're not gonna feel some blood coming up onto the floor. You're gonna feel that. I saw how much blood was on that shoe when she kept walking. You're gonna tell me she didn't do a little look down? She didn't hear the squish?
And the floor like goes in.
That's because the floorboard was like smaller than the hole that they put it in. So when she stepped on it, it went in.
The more you know.
Oh, I just thought it was supposed to be like the house was bleeding for some weird visuals. Because she stepped on it and like blood came out.
I was thinking of it as that something was hiding under there.
Oh, I just thought someone died. I was like, someone's dead. Like
Speaking of things hiding down there, what's with the shot at the beginning where I was like, is there something in the water? Because it shows like her legs like down in the water, and I'm like, that's weird. And then as they're getting up and leaving, there's a shot from under the water. It's like Jaws. I'm like, is there a monster in the water? Because that'd be amazing. But there was.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I had this phase in high school where I loved shark movies. I know they're horrible, But I thought in my mind, I was like, this would have been such a good shot for like not only like a shark movie, but like a sea monster movie, and just for you to like see it swimming like this, and then just like have nothing happen. But yeah, that scene really stood out to me too, and I think like them playing it at the end, where the credits, where you just see her by herself, was also, I think they just put it in where it was like, in case you didn't understand, like she was
Yeah, I
back.
felt like those were kind of unnecessary. There were a few times where it like showed her like taking the pills or doing whatever, and it's like you don't really need to show us that. It feels kind of like that's there for people who just didn't get it for whatever reason.
Just adding to the movie to make it longer than it needed to be.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie could have been a good hour and
Yeah.
like 10-15 minutes, but they're like, we're gonna keep it going for a good hour and 50 minutes to 2 hours. I was like, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
You could have got the entire plot in 1 hour and 15.
Yeah, like the Joker movie did that when it was like revealed that he wasn't actually with that lady, and it goes back to all the scenes. It's like you really don't need to show that. I mean, we all kind of get it. And I just, it's like sometimes it feels weird because it's like assuming that you're not smart enough to understand it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like we get it.
The Joker movie though, I liked it when they went back and showed all the scenes, because I was like,
really?
I was literally in the
I mean, they looked cool.
Oh my god, what?
I have a question for you guys, because I was like trying to decide this on my own. So you guys know do you guys believe in ghosts?
Yes, 100%.
Spirits. Okay. Well, you guys know how like you hear that if you're in the presence of a spirit or a ghost, it gets really cold all of a sudden. And like in the end, when Unju is like looking for something because she hears something and she goes like this, like I couldn't really decide. This might be really stupid, but I couldn't really decide if that was like realist or formalist, only because like it is said in real life where like if you're in the presence of a ghost, like you'll feel a chill. So yeah, I was like gonna ask you guys what you thought of it, because I literally could not decide if it was realist or formalist.
It would depend on your belief, because if you believe in ghosts, that's realist. If you don't believe in ghosts, that's formalist. I don't really believe in ghosts, but I'm open to the idea, so I would say that that's probably formalist.
Good idea. I love
I am. I'm open to it, but I've never once ever experienced anything ghostly.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there was one time I was hanging out and the glass shattered, but it was only because there was another glass stacked in the glass like this, and the one on top was heavier, so it just smashed.
That's physics for you.
Yeah, but I was like, I've never seen any ghosts.
We never talked about the mise en scène.
Oh shoot.
We can talk about it.
Color. There's a lot of different colors. There's like green. There were like some rooms that were like green
and blues in the dining room.
Well, the dining room is kind of red and brownish.
Wasn't the dining room the green and blue, and then that was like the living room-ish area? Or did I get that confused?
I don't know. I just remember the dinner scene being very kind of reddish brown. I could be wrong on that.
The wallpaper was so aggressive. And I was like, there's no way anyone would actually decorate their house that way.
Actually, a lot of these older houses, like I literally went to an old castle back in New York, and that's exactly how it is on the inside, with a bunch of wallpapers, and it's supposed to make it more elegant and fancy and to make it seem like you have more money, even though you don't. It's just a piece of paper that you glued to the wall. The idea of wallpaper is so stupid, in my opinion.
Oh, also, I think you're right about the dining room where she has the epileptic seizure. That's kind of greenish. There's another room where they eat that is very reddish brown. It's like the breakfast room.
I know the room you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else was in the mise en scene. I don't know. Everything about that house just felt too spooky to be a real house.
Definitely. I think it's Ashley that put it in. She said that the two chairs at the beginning, large room, seemed artificial.
It just really freaked me out, especially because like that entire conversation, she was just like this the whole time. So initially I was like, this is gonna be scary.
Mhm.
And then like as the movie went on, not only were the pop outs were like super predictable, but they also weren't anything like super jarring either.
I don't know. They caught me off guard.
Really?
Maybe it's because like I knew they were coming, but I was still in the mentality of like, am I gonna pause right now? Like, what's gonna happen?
I was like, are we gonna talk about the fact that she's kind of losing her mind at the table right here, or are we just
We're
gonna
gonna talk
pretend?
about the seizure because that was never explained.
I think we were supposed to have this inclination that she was also sick because he brought over pills initially, right? Like to give to her. Or not initially. First he got the water, that didn't work, and then he brought pills. I don't know if they were just like normal pills or whatever, and I don't know if it's like an epileptic seizure because it was like it seemed to have been brought on by stress almost.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's what it seemed like. But
Yeah, they were both there when she was found and when the girl died in the closet. They were both there for that. So
well, and when she first started like having her episode, no one was like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" It was when she fell when everyone was like, "Oh shit! Like, are you good?"
Wait,
Uh,
in
so that was
the
kind of weird.
car scene, didn't the uncle say that the daughter kept insisting that they would come?
The father.
The father? Okay.
Wait, yeah, the father. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, so the dad like wants her to have exposure to other human beings because she's like has been in this
Delusional.
mental hospital and now is in this house by herself. And so he's like, oh, like come over and interact with her so she can like be a normal person. But then that happens instead.
It's just so sad. Like, I do think that in mental health is really a difficult topic in Korean culture only because like it's very much like you need to be strong. Like it's just the way that it is. Like you'll get through it. And so I think that the way that they were kind of speaking about it, where the dad like was very not there in the conversations when when his daughter was like trying to express what was wrong. So I do think like now looking back, I don't necessarily know if that was more formalistic or realistic, but I do think that that incorporation of like the not vibe, but like feelings toward mental health were pretty accurate. Like it's just difficult for kids to talk to their parents. I'm really lucky that my parents were really open about it, but I think because of that, it made me realize that a lot of my other Korean friends couldn't talk to their parents.
there's a kind of I don't want to call it like a stereotype, but there's a lot of, as far as I know, like kind of stoicism in a lot of Asian cultures where they just kind of like it's like you just kind of have to sit there and take it, and not really show how you're really feeling and that kind of thing. And that kind of felt from what I've seen of people from Asian cultures, like that seems kind of accurate to me. I was like, oh, this is like, like some of my friends have like strict Asian parents and they're like, I'm like, this is very much like my friend Charlie, his dad is very much like this, kind of
Yeah.
stoic guy who probably wouldn't really put himself out there very much for his daughter, even though she needs it.
Complaining is very frowned upon. Well, complaining when I say like just saying that you're having a tough time is super difficult for a lot of kids to say to their parents only because like it's a sign of weakness and that's just not tolerable and that's not okay because if you're showing signs of weakness at a young age, like the idea is like how are you going to handle the real world, which is why like in Korea there's such rigorous like school environments and honestly just like social environments because they're ruthless. Like obviously kids remain everywhere, but Korean people can be extremely brutally honest in a very like harmful and hurtful way for kids, which is actually why like my parents never raised us there because it is really difficult for kids of all ages, like whether that be 5 or 18, like it's just a very difficult environment. Oh,
You
go
want to
ahead.
go, Jordana?
No, you got it, Amanda.
Okay. So mine was from, oh, I lost it. We can link it in the description bar or whatever YouTubers do. But mine, the quote is, atmosphere is everything in this movie, and Kim lays it on thick enough to alleviate some of the confusion his plotting is likely to cause. Luxuriate in a tale of two sisters first and figure it out later. And that's exactly what was happening. Like, I didn't understand any of that movie, but it was spooky and it was confusing and I was here for it. And then I spent 20 minutes Googling it afterwards and I thought it was worth it in the end. So
It's interesting that it says luxuriate because it's like that's such a word for like enjoyment, and like this movie is obviously like I don't want to say that it's hard to enjoy, but I think it's hard to watch for like the general public. So it's a very interesting choice of word, but I love that word.
From my quote, it's from Google, a random Google review. I saw a bunch of great reviews and I was like, I want the one bad one. And there was a few bad ones to pick from, but this was my favorite. It's first worst Korean movie ever. So disappointed. No story, no scary, nothing. It was totally illogical and the worst acting. And I disagree with everything they have to say because I thought this movie was amazing. It was scary to me. There was a whole entire plot that was so confusing. So I understand why they think it's illogical, but it's like they just didn't understand. They didn't understand what was going on. And it was such a, like, it's not disappointing at all. Once you know the story, it's like you guys told me like different bits and pieces that that added to the like what I saw, and I was like, wow, now I completely understand this movie and why they wrote it the way they did.
It's like when you go in and out of the camera and like the little sprout, like it goes from like big to small to small. To big, but I completely agree. And I honestly think that Unju's acting was great. Like in particular, the dinner scene, like her ability to like take herself out of who she is and put herself into this character that's literally like supposed to come off as mental. I thought her and then the father, for me in particular, those two really stood out to me with acting. Obviously, like Sumi did a great job and Soon did a good job, but I think Unju to me was like
pretty sure she won an award for acting.
Really?
I know one of them did. I think it was Unju. I can check.
Yeah, I mean, everything about her character was so out there, and I think that was perfect.
She was able to play two different personalities at the same time. So you got the delusion crazy, and then the like
kind of
put
scared
together right at the end.
But she was also like, she always has this sense of like fear in her character. Like it's super subtle. But even in that, when she like at the end is sitting next to Sumi and she says everything like, like all of her nice stuff, and Sumi just sits there and grabs her arm. Like her ability to like initially stay calm and then slowly show that she's fearful, but then also keep herself together while showing that, I think was really good.
Definitely. Ash, would you like to share your quote?
Sure. So mine was from IMDb, and it's, do not expect a thrill ride or a lot of jump scares. This movie is atmospheric, beautiful, complicated, and despite what others may say against this statement, I truly believe this is a masterpiece of modern cinema. I wanted to touch on the fact, like, I don't disagree that the film was beautiful, but I also don't understand like what this person really means when they say beautiful. I think that's very much a stretch for what this film was. I think like the relationship between the two sisters before you know everything that happened is beautiful. Like how protective Sumi is over Soon, how willing Soon is to be there for Sumi and just listen to her. But otherwise, I couldn't really find anything that I would necessarily say was like beautiful about the film.
I mean, I thought some of the formalist elements were kind of beautiful. Like there's one scene where it's when Soo-yeon first comes in and she's terrified after hearing like the footsteps outside of her room. And and Sumi kind of like tucks her in and is like, it's okay, like we'll sleep together. And then there's this really cool like camera movement where it kind of like goes down the bed sheets, and I don't know, it was kind of pretty, and like every now and then it would do these little like art, there'd be these little artistic moments, and they would do fun things with the camera, or there'd be like a shot where it's just from like the waist down and you'd see them standing there and you're only seeing like their hands and their legs. And so I could see those parts being described as like beautiful. But yeah, oh my God, I would go more with like atmospheric
Yeah.
of those adjectives than beautiful.
I found one.
Okay.
So this is off IMDb. This is it. This is the whole review. It just says tragedy masquerading as horror. And I kind of like that. That's a good way to put it, because like stigmas about people with mental health issues are definitely there. I feel like it's not as bad as some other movies. And I definitely think that's kind of part of what the movie is trying to do, is because these things, they are scary. It is scary to see someone in your family who has like dementia or something. Like, it's sad, but it's also kind of scary in a way, because that can happen. That's a real thing that can happen to people. And I definitely like how like it really is that it is a tragedy that is kind of that if you put yourself in like her shoes, like you watch it and it wasn't like, I didn't find it super scary, but if you think about like if this happened to you, like if you just like you just like couldn't cope with these things that had happened to you, like that's scary to me, at least. So I thought that was a great
I
review.
also think, like, we always hear those stories of things that happen in real life, and you're like, holy shit, that sounds like it'd be out of a movie. And although like this was very dramatized and very much a stretch, like it also, like, I completely agree with you, Neil, because I do see multiple stories coming together and making this, like, maybe one person's case didn't have all of these elements that happened, like maybe her mom, that didn't happen, maybe she didn't have a sister, but I do think that these are a lot of real world scenarios that could be brought together to create like this really crazy dark one. But yeah, I completely agree.
Apparently there's a continuity error in this film, and it's that at the end when Sumi is in the hospital, she doesn't have a scar on her hand from the scissor.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, I didn't even think about that scene, honestly.
1 out of 10, this movie's unwatchable.
Really, I think it did a really good job at like keeping me on the edge of my seat, because I literally did not know what was going on for the latter half of the movie. Like that, like from the time when the father finds Sumi passed out to the end, I was like, what is going on? So I had to like rewatch it, and then I had to go to read like the plot summary and have it explained to me, because I still didn't understand that, one, Unju actually died, and two, that the father, like, how do I word this? Like the whole situation with the sister, I thought was fake, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I didn't realize the father actually had 2 daughters. Like, I thought that was also what happened. I had so many different scenarios in my head.
I feel like once the bag is introduced and is getting dragged around, that was when I started losing track of what was happening.
But I didn't understand that. Like, because did they ever put the mom in a bag?
I think that's because this whole time Sumi is coming up with these more and more horrible, ridiculous things to protect her sister from. And so I think that's the last one. Like, it starts with like the nightmare, and then it like escalates to like getting locked in the closet, and then the worst one is she's literally getting dragged around and beaten in this bag by its stepmom, and that's like the final thing that she has to save her from.
3, 2, 1. Wait. Hopeless. Confused.
Mine looks backwards. Is it like the right way for you guys?
No, it
It was
is.
fine.
Oh wow.
Did you?
Yeah, it means thrill. Happy
Happy Halloween. Okay, should we cut the recording now?
Yeah.